Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us today. We're really looking forward to having a conversation in honor of International Women's Day on March 8th.
Thanks for having us.
What does the theme Inspire Inclusion mean to you?
Inspire, if you look at the etymology of the word, it talks about to breathe the life force into. So making inclusion a living, breathing reality in our lives, I think that's just profound.
To me, it just means being open to more. What I've learned as part of having a more diverse and more well-rounded team is that it really allows us to expand our perspectives, and our ideation and our innovation grew so much. It's really been a huge part of the success of our team.
What is a quality you admire the most in a leader?
One of the things I admire the most is actually inclusion itself. I remember being a young woman in the automotive industry and being shy to speak up. And one leader in particular, he used to call on me and ask me to speak. And that's something that, has influenced my leadership in the organization as well. In CCA, we make sure that everybody's voices are heard, men, women, whomever it may be. From the little voices to the loud voices, everybody's part of the conversation. Everybody really becomes part of the solution.
What does an empowered woman look like to you?
To me, that looks like someone who has choice. It also means that you might choose not to.
I think it's owning your own power. So not doing things that make you powerless and doing what you think makes you feel powerful.
It's being confident in your successes and confident in your losses. And I think your confidence to lift those up that are around you to help everybody to be a better person.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think it's important that companies embrace diversity at every level?
Post-First World War, when women legitimately started getting into workplaces, right, or factories or whatever it is, it has taken us a century to be where we are today. And still there is a long way to go, because when you look at the organizations and you slice them in different levels and look at the population dynamics, at the entry level you see a lot of influx, but it does not stay, right? Because decision making happens at different levels in the organization, and contribution happens at different levels in the organizations. And if in all those levels that same diversity that you are catering to is not reflected, what is out there should be in here, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever is your society has to get reflected on the teams that we are in. Otherwise, we will never be successful out in the business.
Absolutely.
And I think increasingly people view their careers differently than before, where it's personal. Mm-hmm. It's not just a job. And so your values really have to reflect within the organization. Being able to have a workplace that's so diverse is what really will unlock in people that commitment.
Very true.
How can men help advance gender equality in the workplace?
I've been really fortunate to work for some really incredible men who are such champions of women. For me, being a working mom, I have to have some flexibility to balance it all. And I've been really fortunate in my career that I've been empowered to do that. I had great leadership who allowed me to pursue my MBA while I was working, and pushed me to do that. I was promoted by a leader pregnant. And that was unheard of at the time. There are so many men, more than I think we realize, who are rooting for women and who value women and value the skill sets and the uniqueness that we bring to the table.
So I had a very similar situation. I had two extremely strong male leaders back to back. They let you see kind of what you could truly be, and then they pushed you to go there. So they pushed you to do stuff you wouldn't be comfortable with. They signed you up for different things, and they really empowered you to take the next steps in your career to get where you're going. And I really count both of them to be in one of my dream jobs that I finally made it to in my career. So they really removed the bias, really pushing your career to take the next step and being extremely supportive.
We still are pretty male-dominated in organizations, right? Mm-hmm. So active male allies are super critical for overall inclusion, right? For any kind of underrepresented groups, whether it is women or any other group. Active male mentoring and sponsorship is very important to fill the gaps that are existing both in leadership positions, middle-level leadership positions, and even at entry-level positions. Them being these role models and helping those who are feeling resentful of this attention that is going to, whether it is gender, minority, or racial, or whatever it is, there are people who are unhappy because they feel there's something taken away from me. But these could be very, very radical role models to say, no, we can coexist, and that is how we make the place better. And obviously at a family level as a father, how you treat your spouse, because that is how your children are learning and who are upcoming to the next stage. So this is how I see men helping this entire agenda.
Yeah. I love how you say that, how there are some people who feel threatened by the increasing visibility to diversity. And, I keep saying to my team, there's enough sunlight for everyone. There's enough sunshine for everyone.
I love that.
Absolutely, I love it.
That's amazing.
When the sun's shining on one person, it doesn't mean it can't still shine on you. And so be a builder. Be one of those people that helps prop up others.
And the more individuals that continue to do that, the more we'll see that culture continue to grow outside and bigger than our organization. And it's not just within our organization, but it's in our personal lives too. And then we just leave the world a better place.
What is a piece of advice that you received in your career that stuck with you?
Sometimes I would come up with a problem, and identify what the problem was. But I think that one of the things that resonated with me and has really helped in my career is not just identifying what the problem is, but coming up with the solutions. And, I coach others to do that as well. The solution that you might come up with may not be the answer to the problem, but at least it gets you in the mindset of problem solving. And I think that really kind of shapes your mindset of growth as a leader within an organization. So.
One of my leaders once told me, if you do not brand your work, if you are not talking about it, if you are not visible, if you're not networking, if nobody knows about it, doesn't matter. And I think as women, we all tend to say, okay, I'm really good at my work, I will do everything well, and rest has to be taken care of by manager. And that was my attitude. And he had to sit me down and tell me that, you know what, you need to be ahead of everything, and you need to have the right connections, and you have to, over a period of time, build them, because good work is just the price of entry. You build over that, and that is how things happen in the organization, or growth happens in the organization. And if you don't like it, then leave it. That's what he told me. It was very harsh, but it really shook me out of my own comfort of, oh, I'm good and I do my work very well.
Very similar about promoting yourself and speaking up and talking about yourself and your accomplishments. Work hard, do a great job, but if you can't go out there and share your voice and broadcast what you've accomplished, it's not going to ever be seen.
Can you tell me about a time where you felt uncomfortable to stretch outside of your comfort zone? How did you manage it, and what was the outcome?
Just coming to Canada was such a big stretch for somebody who had never stepped in North America. It was a choice that I had to make. We always have a choice. What would I think 10 years or 20 years or towards the end? Will I value the experience, or do I want to just back up and quit? And I said, no, I want to value the experience. I want to go face it head on, and that's what I did.
That's amazing.
I was nervous and hesitant to take on a new role that had a lot of travel and extensive hours as a new mom of two. I pushed myself to do it, and it ended up being the best role of my career until the one I'm in now. But I think that discomfort is good. It's good to make yourself feel uncomfortable and to feel like you're pushing yourself to raise the bar. So I learned a lot from that.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite quotes is, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because nothing grows in the comfort zone. And it's so true. According to a new poll, more than half of 4,000 women surveyed experience imposter syndrome at some point in their careers. Why do you think this is, and how can we overcome it?
There's so much this need of validation at every step, right? And it is because you are never told that you can do this. And that's where we need to have a cultural change overall. It is about women breaking out and including themselves, and which will create a greater sense of purpose, belonging, and authenticity. Like, I belong here because I am here. I also feel it's generational. And one thing that works for me, that when you are in a very, very dark space, you have two choices again, whether you are buried or you are seated. Think.
The one thing that we have to remember is that there are others that are looking at us as leaders and as role models, and when we put that on ourselves, it becomes the norm, and that's not the norm. We don't need to be perfect, and the world isn't like that anymore, and we're fortunate enough to work for an organization that has a lot of flexibility for a working mom. I'm a working mom as well, and I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect when I come to work. I'm not a perfect mom. I don't pack perfect lunches, and I recognize that, and I'm okay with that.
Social media plays such a big role in it because you see all these beautiful images of people, right? And you don't know that those are just those 3 seconds images or things, and you want to live like that, but you don't, because no one's reality is that. So
That's a really good point.
that's not
Ritu, and
really helping us. Yeah.
It also is, I think you need those women that you can get real talk from. And so, for example, when I first had my first child, I'd be like, this is hard. And I'm not enjoying all of this, and I'm really struggling with some aspects of it. If you have all of these women around you saying that it's easy and that you can have it all, and that you just have to wake up earlier or manage your calendar better, that's not real talk. You need real women to tell you that you're doing your best, and your best is great, not just something that you can sort of feel guilty over.
And we also need to stop and look from the outside in versus the inside out, because we beat ourselves up. When you look at your peers, they're like, wow, you're doing amazing, and look at this, and look what you're accomplishing. But we continue to beat ourselves up.
Like, I think about the pep talks that I give my own team, where I'm like, you're amazing, how are you doing this? But when it's to myself, I'm so much more critical.
I've heard the term create your own board of directors. So those are the people that are going to cheer you up and give you that extra lift that you need to feel more confident.
Absolutely. To keep you positive and to keep you seeing yourself in the light that others see you.
Can you share an example of how a mentor or a manager helped shape the person who you are today?
I was in a role at GM here, and I was a little apprehensive going into the role, it being a heavily male-dominated role. But I had a mentor at the time that was a great mentor, and a mentor that I didn't seek out, a mentor that came to seek me out to come and help me in the role. That kind of reached out to me just to check on me, see how things were going. Sometimes it was just a quick 2-minute phone call, just to kind of lift my spirits, let me know that I was on the right track. It helped me grow my confidence in the role. It helped me become a better leader overall. I think it's important to have that, backing, whether it be a male or a female mentor at the end of the day. We call it mentors. It's a friendship, and it's a bond that you build with somebody and you develop that trust. And I think it's important that we all have a mentor at some point in time.
I had a great leader who wanted to review my CDPT and really made me think differently. So you tend to want to move up, kind of stick in your realm and your department and what you know. And she basically just said, what would you learn in that role? Well, my answer was not a lot. It really made me think outside manufacturing, start thinking about center jobs, really to understand how the entire enterprise grows and in how we all collaborate and work together. There's so many positions throughout General Motors that most of us don't even know exist because we tend to stay in our little bubbles and circles. So really helped me spread my wings and learn about different aspects of the corporation.
I've been lucky to have many good mentors, and some of them I still go back to. Perception is reality is something one of my mentors told and said, you know what? Perception is reality. Go change the perception. The other one of the mentors really helped me not quit, okay? And stay resilient and stick around to get over the situation. And I think that was my most profound moment. And I figured it is so critical to have somebody who is unrelated to your work at that point in time and can look at it from a 40,000 feet view and bring to your realization that, okay, 10 years down the line, how would you feel about this situation? And I thought that was profound, because what would matter at that point in time, that I failed or that I quit? And I figured I would rather fail than quit, and I prevailed. So I think that was a big one for me. The best part is not giving answers, but help people finding their own answers, and that is what my mentor did with me. And I feel I owe it to those who I mentor today.
I love that.